I'm Dillon Brout, and I'm a cosmologist. Being a cosmologist means that I'm fortunate enough to get to study the universe as a whole, using the astrophysics of stars and galaxies to study everything from the Big Bang to the fate of the universe itself. Why should the spots of light in the firmament be less accessible to us than the black spots on the map of France? This was Van Gogh in 1889 in reference to his iconic Starry Night painting. Oftentimes, we're focused on the close, the familiar, and the immediate, but there's an immense beauty that surrounds us, all of us, every single night. The beauty of the cosmos is easily forgotten in our fast-paced world, and Van Gogh shifts our focus from the distractions of today in the foreground to the mysteriousness and beauty of the background. Today, I'd like to touch upon two awe-inspiring stories of humanity discovering its place in the cosmos and in which the background becomes the main focus. Less than 30 years after Van Gogh's Starry Night painting, Edwin Hubble is pictured here using the state-of-the-art 100-inch telescope at the top of Mount Wilson. He sits there looking through his eyepiece, lining up his image, and exposing onto glass photographic plates. Here on the right, we see one such example, a famous example of a 45-minute exposure of what was then called the Andromeda Nebula. Now, at the time, there was an intense debate going on, central to our understanding of our place in the universe. Were the smudges shown on the photographic plates collections of stars within our own galaxy, or could they perhaps be outside of our own galaxy? Do you see that writing up on the top right corner, where N is crossed out and a red VAR, V-A-R, with an exclamation point is written in? This is the moment of reckoning in which Edwin Hubble would forever change our view of humanity and its role in the cosmos. What Hubble had realized was, in fact, that some of the stars in the image were variable brightness stars, VAR. And from this information, he was able to estimate the distance to them and found that, in fact, they lied much farther away than the stars of our own Milky Way. Hubble would not only go on to show that Andromeda was, in fact, outside of our own galaxy, over 1 million light years away, but he would also go on to show much more, including the fact that the entire universe is billions of light years across. Humanity's perspective of the vastness of the background and its place in the universe was forever changed. Now, if you'll allow me to skip through 80 years of technological progress as mankind built bigger, more powerful, and more sensitive telescopes, I'd like to focus on one dedicated to Edwin Hubble, NASA's Hubble Space Telescope. Imagine yourself a scientist in the 1990s controlling the most powerful telescope in the world at the time. What do you choose to point at? Do you point at the core of the Milky Way in the hopes of finding evidence of a supermassive black hole? Or maybe you point at another nearby galaxy that is known in order to study galactic dynamics and to explain dark matter. Well, in 1995, the Hubble Space Telescope scientific team did what many at the time might thought to be foolish and brazen. They shifted the focus from the quote-unquote distractions of the foreground again to the background. That is, they chose to spend hundreds of hours and millions of dollars observing what appeared to be a completely unremarkable blank spot on the sky just above the Big Dipper, which to date had appeared completely devoid of all matter, stars, and galaxies. So after staring at that spot for 10 days and collecting as much light as they could, well, what did they find? The Hubble Deep Field, mankind's deepest, most detailed optical view of the universe. The Hubble Deep Field is a narrow keyhole view stretching to the visible horizon of the universe. This image covers a speck of the sky only about the size of a pinhead held at arm's length. That is 1/24 millionth the total night sky. It's equivalent to using a time machine to look into the past thanks to the finite speed of light. Just as we know it takes 8 minutes for light traveling from the sun to reach us, the same is true for far, far away galaxies. So here, we are looking across the entire observable universe to light from our universe when it was much younger. We get the opportunity to witness the early formation of galaxies, perhaps less than 1 billion years after the Big Bang itself. And gazing into this small portion of sky, we notice that nearly every single speck of light is a galaxy. In fact, there's a bewildering assortment of at least 1,500 galaxies in this single image. And this allows us to calculate that the universe must be filled with at least hundreds of billions of galaxies. Now, our story of understanding the cosmos is far from over. The data that we've collected thus far is inconsistent with the equations that describe ordinary matter and energy that make up you, me, this stage, this Earth, the sun. For example, cosmologists continue to grapple with making sense of mysterious quantities like dark energy that makes up the vast majority of the energy content of the universe, and that is causing our universe to accelerate apart. And so this has spawned a new generation of super telescopes that are set to be built and launched in the 2020s. One such example is the Large Synoptic Survey Telescope shown here, a 3.2 gigapixel camera the size of a car with a 28-foot mirror. This telescope truly brings the field of cosmology to the forefront of data processing and image processing requirements. And so as astronomers and cosmologists prepare for the tsunami of hundreds of petabytes of data, it's no surprise that we have a strong relationship with Google. And to tell you a bit more about how Google is bringing astrophotography to the Pixel devices, here's Alex Schiffhauer.
Hi, I'm Alex Schiffhauer, Product Manager for Computational Photography at Google. And our team has been hard at work building astrophotography on Pixel 4. And while it's not quite as good as the LSST we're collaborating on with the academic community, it will let you take breathtaking photos of our own Milky Way galaxy, and maybe even just a little more. So why did our team shoot for the stars? Well, in addition to all of the amazing science that Dr. Brout just mentioned and inspired us, there's also a really practical reason here. Many of us spend time in nature with friends and family, escaping the busy cities and bustling lights so that we can recharge. And up until now, smartphones just haven't cut it for these really dark scenes. If you wanted to capture these really important memories and vacations, you'd have needed fancy camera, professional enthusiast-grade lenses and software. And with Pixel, we've always strived to create a camera that can capture your most memorable moments, regardless of how challenging the conditions. So we decided to take on the challenge of astrophotography with Pixel 4, so that you can capture these breathtaking photos of the memories that matter most to you, your family trips, an outing with your friends, out in nature. And we knew taking on this task was difficult. We were pushing up against the limits of what's physically possible. So we asked ourselves, could we use AI, hardware, and software to help make this a reality so that you can capture breathtaking photos of the Milky Way with just the single tap of a shutter button? Now, these three roads, AI, hardware, and software, they frequently met at the intersection of computational photography, what I work on. And we examined our foundations, seeing where we could start building. With HDR+, we simplified an entire complicated camera pipeline that captures up to 9 photos, merges and aligns them, so you can get beautiful, breathtaking photos of just your everyday shots. And with portrait mode, we built upon HDR+, adding in depth capabilities so that we can create this beautiful optical bokeh in your backgrounds, making your subjects pop. And with night sight, we used our computational photography algorithms, pushing HDR+ even further, creating groundbreaking low-light performance that's just not possible with even some of the best SLRs today. And looking at night sight, we thought this would be a great place for us to build astrophotography. We have a strong foundation here, and our customers love using it when they're in low light. So again, we knew it wouldn't be easy. And because the Earth rotates, stars move roughly 16 pixels per minute, given our camera's 28 millimeter lens and 12 megapixel sensor. So if pixel captured one long exposure, you'd see blurry star trails, as Dr. Lavoie mentioned in his talk. And on the other hand, if you captured one short exposure, so that you could capture the stars without them moving too much, you'd get something that we're all kind of familiar with, something that looks like that. So we explored a middle ground. What if pixel captured a moderately long exposure? Well, if pixel captured about 12 to 16 seconds worth of light, we calculated that the Milky Way would just become visible. And we also found out that, hey, the stars would move roughly 3 to 4 pixels, not enough for us to really discern any motion blur. That's about the perceptual threshold for sharpness. Again, we're pushing up on the bounds of what's physically possible given a smartphone. And this was difficult. This was challenging looking at this, but we were eager to try and pull this off. So as we explored, we found another hurdle. If you just took one of these 16-second exposures, well, frequently the photos were just too dark and they were way too noisy. And this isn't something you'd want to save and share and reminisce on. So we wondered, could we use computational photography to align and merge many of these photos so that we could remove the noise from the composite photo while still keeping all of those stars really sharp? And with night sight, we do that. We capture 15 of these photos, and our algorithms can intelligently align and merge them so that our algorithms simultaneously brighten the photo and also remove noise. And again, this happens all while keeping the stars above us sharp. And the results were starting to get there. We were seeing stars. Things were coming together. But we hit another challenge. Dr. Lavoie mentioned hot pixels in his talk. And he showed what photos look like when we remove them. But how does it work? And why does it happen? When Pixel's camera sensor absorbs a lot of light, it heats up. It gets really hot. And this exacerbates a quantum phenomenon known as leakage current. Individual electrons spill onto different wells of the sensor, and they kind of get stuck there. They saturate that individual well, generally manifesting as bright red, blue, or green small pixels. Another fun fact is they tend to stay in the same area until the sensor cools down. So, how did we solve this? Well, we built a clever algorithm that exploits the fact that the stars above us are moving. The same thing that stumped us we're using to our advantage. By examining these 15 different photos we capture, we can see the stars moving. But the hot pixels, they're staying in the same spot. So we're able to discern between the stars, which can also be small and bright, and the hot pixels. We thought it was incredibly important for you and our customers to have beautiful but accurate photos of the night sky. And it doesn't stop there. We've done so much on Pixel 4 to create beautiful photos of our starry night. We focused on capturing and adding training data for our machine learning-based approach to auto white balancing so that you can get beautiful and breathtaking, colorful photos of the Milky Way galaxy. And Pixel uses more machine learning to segment the sky, where we'll more aggressively apply denoising to get rid of low-frequency noise, and then we increase contrast to make the stars pop. We also built a brand new autofocus algorithm, because focusing in these extreme low light conditions is really difficult. So when you hit the shutter button, we actually capture 2 photos. These 2 photos may be out of focus, but you never see them. And we use those 2 blurry photos to actually figure out where we should focus, so that when you see your photo, it's beautifully sharp, no matter how dark. This works even below 1 lux. And lastly, we've created custom tone mapping for astrophotography to help make your landscapes and the stars bright, vibrant, and detailed. And this entire experience runs, again, with just the tap of a shutter button, something we're so excited about. All you need to do is stabilize Pixel. If you didn't bring a tripod with you, you could prop it up against your camping bag, your tent, or a rock. Photo enthusiasts, a lot of our customers, they're going to love that we can also save raw files for astrophotography so that you have additional editing flexibility. And something else we're really, really proud of is that we've worked tremendously hard bringing a lighter weight version of this experience to our existing customers that have a Pixel 3 and 3a. And this feature can actually do more than just astrophotography. Try taking low-light landscapes, light trails and silhouettes in front of exciting, bright textures and shapes at night. And to show you some of my favorite astrophotos captured on Pixel 4 that we've been capturing as we've been creating this feature, I'm going to invite Dr. Dillon Brout back on stage.
So when Alex first showed me this photo that he took in Yosemite, the first thing that struck me was that I could actually see the different colors of the stars in the image. I noticed both blue and red stars. From astrophysics, we know that a star's color tells us a lot of important information about its life cycle and composition. For example, a blue star is a younger, hotter star, whereas a red star is likely a much older and larger star nearing the end of its life.
And as I mentioned earlier, we can discern between these hot pixels, which can be red or blue, just like the cold and hot stars Dillon mentioned. And we really want to keep all of this information there for you so that you have an accurate picture of what's above us, no matter what color the stars are or their temperature. This shot of Haleakala and Maui, it captures the Milky Way in all of its glory. At around 10,000 feet elevation, I mean, we just feel that much closer to the stars above. And using sky segmentation, Pixel applies contrast curves and additional denoising to make the Milky Way pop. So you can see not only its mesmerizing colors, but also the textures.
In fact, in this image, we can actually see the disk and the structure of the Milky Way that extends 600,000 trillion miles. Perhaps the most beautiful part of this image, however, is the contrast between the light and the dark regions running through the plane of the disk. The dark structure we see is really clouds of gas and dust that cast a shadow on the bright stars behind them. It's in these regions where heat and pressure are building and where baby stars are beginning to form. Wow. Finally, in this photo Alex showed me that he took in Lake Sonoma, we can see the plane of our galaxy again, but I was really amazed to find that beyond the stars and dust, you can actually see Andromeda Galaxy. As we know, that smudge there is fundamentally different from the other bright spots in the night sky. It's a collection of 1 trillion stars in a galaxy that is 2.5 million light years away.
We think that's pretty amazing. I mean, we captured this just 2 hours north of my apartment in San Francisco. So Pixel camera lets you not only capture the Milky Way, it's literally letting you capture the next galaxy over. And that blew our minds when we saw this. As Dillon mentioned, this was the exact type of photo that revolutionized astrophysics just a few decades ago. And now it's available to anyone with a Pixel at the tap of a shutter button. So with astrophotography on Pixel 4, we've really taken years of scientific accomplishments, and with computational photography, we've thrown this into a really thoughtfully crafted design that fits in the back of your pocket, works with the tap of a button. And we can't wait to see what you and our customers shoot with the night sky. Thank you.